What's up, folks? Hello, rock stars. It's Allie, the RockStarBarGirl. Welcome to this week's tip of the week. I'm going to wait for some people to get in here and get set up. And this week's topic is stranger danger. We're going to be talking about safety tips in the bar business. So while you guys filter in here, I'm actually going to hop on my account real quick because I want to get the name of the person that asked this really awesome question. Because when she asked this question, I was like, I cannot believe that I have not talked about this topic yet. In 5 years of having this channel and with all of my bartender tip videos and stuff, I could not believe that I have not actually talked about this really, really important topic. Okay, so this question comes from Miss Katarina T. So shout out to you, Miss Katarina T. I have seen you up in the comments in the last couple of weeks on the videos. So it looks like you're going through the videos on this channel. So welcome to my channel. I appreciate you. And I definitely really appreciate this question. It's a super important topic for anyone in the industry. Hi guys, welcome. Thanks for the likes. Whether you are a man or a woman, safety in this industry is definitely something, I don't want to say to be concerned about, but it is definitely something that you want to give some thought to, and that might be a little bit different from, you know, other industries and the concerns in other industries. So I'm really glad that you asked me this question. Thank you so much for such a thoughtful and useful question. So while I wait for you guys to file in, I'm just going to give you a couple of announcements as usual. First of all, just a reminder, if you are looking for instructional videos from me, I just want you to know that going forward, they will only be posted on my website, therockstarbargirl.com. So if you haven't gone over to my website and signed up for the mailing list, definitely do that because the 92 or so videos that are on this channel are the only instructional videos that will be on this channel. Going forward, all instructional videos will be on my website. So definitely make sure to join so that you are notified whenever I release a new video. I don't spam you. I don't do much stuff in terms of like marketing over there, but it is a good idea to be on my mailing list because not only do you know when new classes are available, but that is also the first place and sometimes the only place where I post about sales, discounts, giveaways, appearances, anything interesting that is going on. So you want to be on that mailing list. I do try to mention these things on YouTube and Instagram, but I don't always get around to that. So definitely make sure that you are on the mailing list. If you are on the mailing list, then you got an email this morning letting you know about the 50% off Valentine's Day flash sale. So happy Valentine's Day, guys. I hope you're all filling yourselves with lots of self-love first and then getting to spend time with loved ones and everybody else. And the flash sale is going on for 24 hours exactly. So it will end at midnight tonight. But from now until midnight tonight, the entire course, which includes the complimentary Rockstar Bar Kit, is 50% off. And the Rockstar Bar Kit, if you wanted to get that by itself, is also 50% off. Just use the code LOVE50 and at checkout and you will get everything half price. Kay Quasup says, love your hair. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was a labor of love. It takes a ton of time. So I appreciate that. What else? Just want to let you guys know that the tip of the week, you probably noticed last week there was no tip of the week. And I'm thinking I am going to be doing the tip of the week a little less frequently, just to give more people time to like prepare to be here for it. People have been telling me that they want to tune in live, but they don't find out until very shortly before. So I'm going to try to post a little earlier than the day of, to give people the heads up that the tip of the week is happening and give you time to like make plans so that you can be a part of it. So the tip of the week will no longer be the weekly tip of the week. It's still the tip of the week. It's just not happening every week. Okay, so if you are not already subscribed, if you have not already clicked on the bell button, if you have not already followed me on Instagram at RockStar_BarGirl, then you are definitely going to want to do that so that you are notified when a tip of the week is coming up, because since it won't be happening every week, you're going to want to be notified so you are aware. I do put up a post in the like YouTube community post section, but I don't really know how like good that is, because sometimes I don't see posts. Like I see posts from the same people and I follow a ton of people. So not really sure how like in-depth and thorough the community post is, but I do post there. But I definitely post on my Instagram. And of course the bell notification from YouTube will alert you when I go live. So make sure to do all of the clicking of the bells and the liking and the following and the subscribing and whatnot. All right, so I hope everybody's having a lovely Valentine's Day so far. Nothing like Valentine's Day to talk about all of the scary things that can happen to you as a bartender. Really, before I get started, I just want to say, you know, every neighborhood is different, every area is different, and so the level of safety that you will experience, you know, on your way home from a shift, during a shift, etc., will vary from place to place. So I won't make any generalizations about how safe or not safe being in the bar industry is, because it's really hard to say. But what I will say is that regardless of what industry you are in, the smarter you are, the more aware and observant you are, and the more precautions that you take, the better off you are. Simply, if for no other reason, then you are just more likely to be prepared in the event that something happens. Doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to minimize something happening, but being prepared for it oftentimes makes all the difference. So if there are no questions or commentary, I am going to get started. I have some notes here that I was jotting down before I hopped on. Hydration is key, don't slack. I broke it down into some tips for during your shift and some tips for after your shift. So first I'm gonna let you know just a couple of things to keep in mind while you are working your shift. Oftentimes, if there is going to be some type of emergency event, such as a robbery or someone following you or something like that, oftentimes those things start in the bar during the shift, okay? Sometimes, you know, criminals, people interested in causing a problem will already be kind of scoping out the scene during the shift, scoping you out, figuring out where money is, where people are, you know, all of that good stuff before you leave your shift or before the bar closes. So there are a couple of things that you can do during your shift to help minimize drawing attention to yourself. And then after your shift, there are some things to keep in mind too. So starting off with during your shift. Tip number one is to not carry open cash around the bar, okay? I have seen that happening in bars. I've had to do it in certain bars because that was like their policy or whatever, but it is really not a good idea. So try to not get into the habit, and of course, bar managers, if you're listening and your staff does this, consider doing this another way. Do not have the bar staff walking through the bar with the cash register drawer with cash in it through the physical bar. Not a good idea, simply because it draws entirely too much attention to where cash is in the bar, because obviously if the drawer is out of the POS system, it is not locked. It could easily be snatched out of someone's hands. You don't necessarily need people to know how much cash is coming in and out of the bar or being broken down in between shifts. You don't need somebody who's up to no good knowing who is handling the cash, or where in the bar they are taking it. So avoid carrying the actual cash drawer or just open cash around the bar. Instead, utilize your bar's bank envelopes. So there are those blue, brown, sometimes red or black envelopes that you get from the bank. And most bars have them. It's typically what your manager will use to give you your starting bank at the beginning of your shift. That envelope is the ideal place to put cash, credit card receipts, paperwork, and anything else financial related in, that can easily be tucked under your arm or hid under paperwork, menus, etc. But it just draws a lot less attention, and no one can see exactly how much cash is in it to know whether or not it's worth it to try to snatch it. So definitely utilize bar envelopes, bank envelopes. If you don't have those lying around, you could use a manila folder. If it's not a ton of cash, you could use a check presenter. Anything that would just basically prevent you from carrying cash just in your hands or open in a drawer. The next tip I'm going to recommend is to not count your tips in front of customers, okay? This is another thing that I see happening entirely too frequently. It usually happens when shifts are changing and a bartender is done with their early shift and they're handing over the bar to the next bartender. There is a tendency to just grab a table somewhere on the floor in the bar or restaurant and break down your cash right there in total view of customers. Not a good idea. For all the same reasons that it is not a good idea to carry the cash drawer or open cash around the bar. You are drawing attention to how much cash is being broken down, to who has the cash and where it is in the restaurant. And someone who is up to no good simply does not need to have all of that information. So go to a staff break room, go to the office, go to the bathroom, and go into a stall if you need to. Honestly, some bars are very, very small and there just aren't any locations where you can sit down and comfortably count your cash. Go to the bathroom and sit in the bathroom and lock the door behind you. It might seem a little silly, it might seem a little paranoid, but trust me, that is a much better option than having it be obvious to customers where the cash is, how much is there, etc. Don't be fooled by thinking that burglaries or robbery attempts or things of that nature only happen when the bar is closing or late at night. Not true at all. Someone could easily run up on you at 4 o'clock in the afternoon if the opportunity presents itself. Criminals are not necessarily thinking things through. They're opportunists. So if they need a lot of money and they suddenly see a lot of money walk right by them, they might decide to snatch that money. So anything you can do to keep it out of people's view is a good idea, okay? And then the third thing for during your shift is establishing a safety plan. So bar managers, this is super important for you. I highly recommend that you include in your training or your policy manuals some type of basic safety plan that includes information about where all of the emergency exits are, where all of the cameras are, and what areas in the bar are lockable by staff. So what parts of the bar could a staff member go and lock without needing a key? So typically the office or the liquor room is something that is only accessible by a key that only the manager has. But perhaps there is a storage closet or keg room or something like that that can be locked from the inside. It's important that your staff know about those areas, because in the event of a robbery, especially something really scary like an armed robbery, they need to be able to go to a location where they can lock themselves in if fleeing the location through an emergency exit isn't an option, okay? If you are not a bar manager, you are just one of the bartenders, you're not responsible for establishing the safety plans, you can still educate yourself and basically create a safety plan for yourself by identifying where the emergency exits are, finding out whether or not those emergency exits are locked, because sometimes, unfortunately, stupidly, they are locked because not all managers are great, not all owners are smart, and sometimes emergency exits are locked, but a proper emergency exit should be the type of door that can only be opened from the inside, like it has a push lever type of door opening, and once the door is closed, it cannot be accessed from the outside. So that means you don't have to worry about people sneaking into the bar through the emergency exit, but if there is an emergency, people can safely and easily flee through the door. Get it? Easily opens going out, doesn't open on the way back in. Doors should never be locked during business hours. This is very useful, not just for the cases of robbery or something like that, but also in the event of a fire, which is just as dangerous. So people need to know how to quickly and safely get out of the building. I don't think Dima Dome has popped up in the live just yet, but there's the siren in case you watch this later. Cameras. You want to know where the cameras are around the bar, and even more importantly, where they are not. Those are areas where you want to avoid doing anything money related, or putting like your personal belongings. Your personal cash stash, your personal bag, and money for the bar should always be handled in a place where there is a camera. So if, God forbid, there is some type of a burglary event, at the very least, what has happened has been caught on camera, okay? And the locked areas are really important as well. Like I said, if you are not in charge of what the locked areas are, at the very least, identify what those rooms are. What rooms or spaces can you get into without a key that you can lock behind yourself? Typically a bathroom is going to be one of the best options. So if you don't have access to any of the like storage rooms, storage closets, kitchen closets or anything like that, typically your bathroom will have a lock on it, and that worst case scenario is going to be an option for you. Okay? So I'm going to pause for a quick second before I talk about safety tips for after your shift, just to see if there are any questions about stuff going on during your shift. And also to drink some water. Oh, and also a couple of other things that like were occurring to me as I was talking. Two things. One, just be observant and be mindful, or I shouldn't say just, that's not going to solve the problem, but it is important that you be mindful and observant. Like I said, oftentimes when there's like a burglary or something of that nature, it occurs, or the planning for it to occur happens long before the burglary or robbery actually happens. So someone who is acting suspiciously, they call it casing the location. So someone who seems to be like unnecessarily interested in where cameras are, where everything is, not really buying anything, but seems to just be kind of watching what everyone's doing, almost seeming like they're waiting for someone or waiting for something. Things like this you just want to take note of. Unfortunately, you know, you can't call the police on someone just for like looking suspicious or whatever, but being aware that something weird is going on and alerting your managers to that is a good idea. Another little side note, our emergency contact numbers. Obviously, we all know about 911, but bar managers, you should have the phone number to your local precinct and your local fire department posted up behind the bar, as well as in the office, so that if there is something suspicious going on, somebody hanging around outside, all of that good stuff, you can't call 911 for something like that. Like, you can't call 911 and say, there's just a suspicious person standing outside. They are not likely to respond, or to respond very quickly about stuff like that. But if you have a relationship with the local police or fire, which most bars do, because we tend to hook up the police and the fire people in the area, because that's just kind of a smart thing to do, you want to post their phone number. So that in cases like that, your bartender can call and say, hey, Detective Brown, it's Bob over at the Slap and Jack. And, there's a really sketchy looking individual outside. He's been there for like 2 hours. He's come, he's gone, he's left, he's come back. And it's just real suspicious. Like, could you send somebody around just to talk to him, see what's going on? That is going to get you a response much faster than if you try to call 911 about that. So post the phone numbers of the local police precinct and fire department. Easiest thing to do is the next time some of the officers come in, just say, hey, what's up? My name is Bob. I'm the manager. I'm the head bartender. I'm the so-and-so. Next round's on me. Hey, do me a favor. Is there a phone number we could call if we ever have an issue at the bar, whatever? They're always happy to provide that information. They're always happy to strike up that relationship with you, because at the end of the day, they want to come to your bar and, get some free drinks at the end of their shift. So they don't mind being, your little security in exchange for that. Someone says, where's the best place to keep your tip jar in a busy bar? Great question, True Essence. So right behind the bar, by the register, is the best place. I have seen bars put like tip jars right up on the bar itself, and I understand the motivation to do that. You want people to see the tip jar, see money in it, and have it be readily accessible and stuff like that. And I have had people ask the stupid question of like, oh, I didn't see a tip jar, so like I didn't think I could tip. Those people are BSing. They know damn good and well that they can just leave tip money on the bar, unless they literally have been living under a rock. Everybody knows that you can leave your tip right in your checkbook or right on the bar. You don't need to put it into a tip jar. This is not like a wedding or something like that. This is a bar. And so don't worry so much that not having the tip jar right on the bar is going to like interfere or prevent people from realizing that they should tip. So I would put it behind the bar next to the register and periodically collect money off the bar. Now, I will say this. One thing that I have done over the years, and a lot of my bartender friends have done over the years, and it does work, is how people will just like leave cash on the bar? Like they'll throw down $2 or $1 here, $5 there, whatever on the bar. Don't clean up all of it. Okay? If you don't have your tip jar on the bar, then tips left on the bar serve the same purpose as having your tip jar on the bar. So if you want to have the tip jar physically on the bar because you want to show people like, look, people tip, leave cash. A better way to do that is to put your tip jar behind you and leave a couple of dollars on the bar at all times. It's so amazing. Any bartender who's been doing this for a few years can attest to this. Drop your messages down in the comments. I know you guys have noticed this before. If there's no money on the bar, people feel a little bit more bold about not leaving money. But once you put $1, like try this as an experiment. Put $2 down on the bar when no one's looking, so they don't know that you did it. And watch every person who comes in after that and gets a drink drop $1, $2, whatever, right on top of that $2. there's something psychological about it. I don't know if people don't want to be the person that doesn't tip, or if seeing the tip money on the bar just reminds them to tip. I don't really know what's happening there psychologically, but if there's tip money on the bar, people will tip more. If there's no tip money on the bar, you have a higher chance that they'll just walk away. It's so weird. So anyway, periodically clean up your tip money off the bar so that nobody snatches it and walks away with it. But leave a couple of dollars. Leave a couple of dollars laying around so people know what's up. And trust me, it works. For some reason, it gets people to tip. And then keep your tip jar, which has the bulk of your tips, behind you and somewhere safe. And finally, I will mention the POS drawer. This is like a random little tidbit, and this is really just for bar managers out there who are watching. The POS drawer that you have underneath the register is typically a lockable drawer. It's a drawer that usually automatically locks when it closes, and it can be opened digitally by the POS, or it can be opened by a key. Which the manager usually has a copy of. Funny little tip. At the end of the night, when you are closing, unlock the drawer, like after you turn the POS off and everything, or cashed out for the night or whatever, unlock that drawer and leave it ajar. Because, one, it makes it obvious to somebody who's like peeking in late at night trying to decide whether or not to break in that there's no cash in the register. Some bars will leave their cash in the register overnight, which is a big no-no. Criminals know that bars do that. So they will take a chance and break in and see if there's money left in the register overnight. So leave that drawer open, and they will be able to see, okay, so there's no money in the register. So now they automatically know that in order for them to get to any money, they're gonna have to like go to an office, break into the office, then there's probably gonna be a safe, break into the safe, and that just seems like a lot more work and not really worth it. So they might not even bother taking the chance. The other reason why it's really good to leave your POS drawer open is because those fuckers are expensive. They are hundreds of dollars. They are worth good money. And so it is very much the case that if a burglar breaks into the restaurant and they can't get that drawer open, they will just take the drawer. The drawer is not that heavy at all, and it's not that big at all. They will unplug that motherfucker and they will just take the whole drawer, and they'll figure out how to open it later. And then they might even resell the drawer to somebody, you know, used or whatever. So leave that drawer open. That way, if they break in, you know, they don't feel compelled to have to take the drawer or break the drawer and cost you hundreds of dollars on top of everything else that they already took or any other damage that they caused. Okay? Just a reminder to those of you who are in here now, please make sure to like this video so that I get that feedback and YouTube sees that this video is useful. You don't have to wait until the end of the video to like it. You can go down to the bottom section of the page and click on the thumbs up now. I see some likes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Amber said, love your channel. Thank you, Amber. Welcome. I very much appreciate you. So now I am going to talk to you guys about safety tips for after your shift is over. A couple of things to keep in mind now that you have closed down the bar and you have, you know, kicked everybody out. So the first thing that I want to say is to make sure that all customers are out of the bar. This means everybody, including that friend that's waiting for that waitress, etc., etc. Okay? That needs to be a hard and fast rule. Whether you are cool with the bar, you're a regular, whatever, any of that nature, make sure that everybody who is not a staff member has left the bar before you guys start breaking down any money. Okay? Regulars will rob your bar. Sad but true. The person that's waiting for that waitress, you don't know that person. they are not necessarily up to any good. So it's really important that you make sure all customers are out of the bar before you start breaking down any money. No one who is not staff needs to know how much money is in the bar at the end of the night, how much money all of you guys are walking away with, where the money goes at the end of the night, who's taking care of it, where the office is, none of that stuff. They don't need to have any of that information. So make sure that all customers, whether they're friends of somebody or regulars or not, are out of the bar. And your regulars will understand, people will understand. It's fine if it's a friend of a staff member, they can just wait outside. You can do your best to get that person out as quickly as possible. But the bar or restaurant is not a hangout spot anyway, so no one should be expecting for their friends to be able to hang out in the bar after hours. So if that is something that is happening, bar managers, shut that down. Bartenders, talk to your managers about shutting that down. It's just not safe, okay? Next, I recommend this very highly. When I got this piece of advice, I was like, yes, that is great advice, and I follow it all the time now that I've gotten it. And that is to change your uniform or your work colors on the way home, okay? So if you have a uniform that says such and such restaurant, blah, 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 diner, right on the uniform, you're wearing some type of logoed t-shirt, polo, sweatshirt, whatever, I recommend changing that and not wearing that on the way home, okay? You don't need everyone that you are passing on your way home to know that you work at a bar or restaurant and that you just got off of your shift, because everybody knows that people in the hospitality industry work for tips, and so you become a much more worthwhile target and somebody a lot more likely to have a large amount of cash on them on their way home from work. So any logoed things, any uniforms that are very obvious, maybe if you don't have a logo, you guys wear a particular something, like you work at a tiki bar and you all wear the same type of Hawaiian print shirt or whatever, anything that that makes it obvious that you work at a certain establishment, change that before you go home. So just bring a spare shirt that you can throw in your bag, or a sweater or something that you can put over your uniform. If you wear all black, you can still do the same thing by adding some type of color to your outfit. So you might want to throw a pink or a blue or a red shirt in your bag to change into on your way home, so that it's just less obvious that you are in the service industry. A logoed shirt or an all black outfit are pretty much dead giveaways that you are in the service industry and you want to, I don't know if you guys can see me because I'm like lounging over here. So you want to make it a little less obvious that that's where you are coming from, okay? The next tip is, this is a little trick that I came up with for myself, and I'm pretty proud of it. If anybody else does this, then, you know, we're on the same wavelength. But this one occurred to me on my own, and I think it's pretty smart. So what I do is I separate my money before I leave my bar or restaurant. So I've gotten my tip money, and I separate them out. And I put $50 or so in my wallet, and I put the rest of my money in my bar bag, which is in my purse, okay? The reason why I do this is, if I were to be held up on my way home and someone says, give me all your money, because they know that I'm in hospitality, I'm walking out of my bar, they realize that, you know, I might have cash on me, I want to have enough money in my wallet to satisfy that person and make them go away, but not all of my money so that I lose everything. Okay, does that make sense? If I only have $5 in my wallet and it's obvious that I'm a bartender, I'm wearing all black, I've got my beer opener in my pocket, it's 3 in the morning and I'm coming home from a shift, and a criminal is like, give me all your money, and I give them my wallet and it's got $5 in it, no way in hell do they believe that that's all the money that I have. No way, okay? So now they're gonna just take my entire bag or, you know, something like that. So what I do is, and I haven't, thank goodness, had to try out this theory, so I don't know if this will actually work, but I have a feeling that it would be, that it could work. So I put like 40, 50 bucks in my wallet so that if someone's like, give me your money, I can be like, here, there it is. Everything is in there. They open it up. There's like 50, 60 bucks in there. They're like, all right, quiet night or whatever, but they're happy and they're out of here. And they don't necessarily know that maybe I have another 150 bucks tucked away somewhere else in my bag. I will usually also put the small bills in my wallet. So my wallet will like look crazy, but I'll have like $50 and like singles, fives and tens in there, so it looks like it's my tip money. $100 bills, $50 bills, 20s, I will tuck those away somewhere else, and hope that, you know, all of the money that looks like tip money will be enough to satisfy them and send them on their way. Like I said, it's not a tested theory, but I do think it's a really good one. So I'm going to tell you to do it anyway. Okay? Put a chunk of your tip money and the smallest bills in your wallet so it looks like it's your tip money. Put big bills and the bulk of your tips away somewhere else, either on your person. A lot of times that's the money that I will like tuck into my bra. Or, you know, into your sock or something like that. Putting money into your sock. Be careful about that. I did know somebody who used to do that all the time as a principal. They would tuck their money into their sock, and one day, just because of the way they were walking, it like wiggled out and fell out and they didn't feel it, and they lost like a couple $100. So just be mindful of that. If you're tucking it into parts of your clothing, you know, that it's like truly secure. But that is an option. Jesus says he's going to bartending school. Awesome. I just want to remind you guys, of course, about my online bartending course. It is a convenient, cost-effective, and comprehensive alternative to bartending school. So if you don't have the time or the money to go to a bartending school, I will send you my custom Rockstar Bar Kit in the mail, and you can practice with a full bartending course from the comforts of home at your own pace. And today, for Valentine's Day only, I am doing a flash sale. The entire course and Rockstar Bar Kit are 50% off with the code LOVE50. So head on over to my website, therockstarbargirl.com, and enroll today for that super low price, because that offer expires at midnight tonight. Also, if you wear wigs, tuck larger bills under there in the back. Yes, Amber. I love that idea. Oh my God, I absolutely love that idea. Talk about being creative and resourceful. Yes. Jesus says, how long did it take you to learn all the drinks with flashcards? I know like 75 already. Jesus, that's not the topic of today's tip of the week, my dear. But once I'm done with the safety tips, if I have time, I will get back to you on that, okay? Moving along to the next tip. Let's talk about being mindful of followers. So be aware of people who are leaving the bar at the same time that you are leaving the bar. What do you do in that circumstance where you think somebody has followed you out of the bar? That's going to depend on where you are, what's around you, what's happening, all of that good stuff. So what I'm saying to you is to just be mindful and be aware so that you can do something about it, whatever that something is, whether it's to get on your phone and call the police and say I'm being followed, whether it's to turn around and go back to your bar, etc., etc., you know, whatever seems appropriate to you. But one thing you don't want to do is to be taken, you know, off guard or taken by surprise. So be mindful of someone who, you know, closes out and leaves just as you are leaving the bar. Hey, World's Famous. What's up, guys? If you guys aren't following World's Famous Bartending Company on Instagram, What's good with your life? Go follow her. Amazing mobile bartender. We did a cool Q&A video together where she gave some great tips about how to start your mobile bar business. So definitely check that out on the page as well and go follow her. She has really, really cool content. I hope you're doing well, honey. Happy New Year and happy Valentine's Day. So yeah, be mindful of followers. Going to the bank. So this is what I do when it comes to going to the bank at night, or going to the bank after a shift. If I am leaving the bar and I'm going straight home, I will often go immediately to the bank and deposit my cash money. Now, if you live in a very rural place, or even in the suburbs where you are driving, the bank is a drive away, stuff like that, this might not really apply to you. I live in an urban environment. There is a Chase or a Citibank or a TD Bank or whatever bank on just about every other block. So there's a really good chance that your bank, or there will be a branch location of your bank or ATMs for your bank on your way from the bar to the train station or to your home. And so I like to get rid of my cash as soon as possible, deposit it in the bank so that it's not on me. So if for some reason I was robbed, you know, it's a scary experience, but at least he doesn't or she doesn't get away with all my hard-earned money. So take that money to the bank ASAP. Don't carry it all the way with you home. This is especially important if you are going out. So a lot of times when our shifts are over, we don't go straight home. We go to the next bar to hang out and spend money. Don't take your cash with you to the next bar. All right. If somebody is following you, or if there's somebody in the neighborhood who is planning to rob people, then they probably know that you are a bartender at the bar next door or down the street. All right. And so you getting intoxicated and impairing your judgment and not being on your P's and Q's, maybe not paying close attention to what's going on, maybe getting a little loose and comfortable because this is the bar where you always drink, so now you're leaving your bag at the bar while you run to the bathroom or get up to dance on the dance floor, shit like that. You don't want all your tip money just sitting in your bag while you're relaxing and enjoying yourself. So go to the bank right after your shift, and definitely go to the bank after your shift if you are planning to go out for drinks after the shift, okay? Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about self-defense. You know, it's not a bad idea to get some education in that regard, regardless of where you work. Whether you're male or female, whatever's going on, it's a good idea to do that. I plan on doing that. I say that every year and then I don't get around to it. But this year I plan on taking that really seriously. I'm a small person. I'm 5 feet. I'm like 115 pounds, maybe. And so, you know, the possibility of me fighting off someone larger than myself in an emergency situation, not so likely. So if there are some things that I could do to at least increase the chances that I could, let's say, escape a physical altercation, that's a good idea. So if that is something that you are interested in and can do, then do that. If not, weapons are an option. Now, I am not encouraging violence, okay, guys? I am not advocating for any type of weapon, guns, knives, etc. I am not saying any of those things. I'm simply presenting you with possibilities for ways in which you could defend yourself against some type of criminal activity, robbery, burglary, God forbid, kidnapping, rape. These things, sadly, do happen to people in all walks of life, not just bartenders. Don't want to scare anyone off from this really awesome industry. But these things do happen in life. And so if you are concerned, or if you feel like physically by yourself you would not be able to protect yourself, or if you feel like some of the tips that I have mentioned today, like changing your uniform, going to the bank right after your shift, etc., are not good enough to make you feel safe and protected, then welcome back. Then a weapon of some kind is a potential option for you. Of course, be mindful and fully educated about the laws in your area, about what is okay for you to carry on you, and things of that nature. You can also get creative with it. I'm not saying pack heat and carry a gun with you. I'm not saying have a knife on you, but things like mace, tasers, brass knuckles. I saw these really cute. I want to get them. It's a keychain that's like brass knuckles, but the brass knuckles are shaped like a little scorpion's tails or whatever, or cat ears, and they're really pointy on the end, so they're actually like little knives. It's a little dangerous, maybe a little hardcore, but whatever. It would work in an emergency situation, just to defend yourself. So do not be afraid to consider those options based on what is right for you, what is going to make you feel confident and comfortable. But again, I don't want to make anyone feel like you need to walk around with a weapon as a bartender to be safe. I am just saying that we are all individuals. We have different viewpoints on weapons. We have different ideas about what will keep a person safe, and all of that stuff. That is something that you might want to entertain. I just saw a comment that I definitely want to get into, but I just want to point out to you guys that in my bar bag, I have a box cutter. Okay, my box cutter is there primarily for the purpose of opening up boxes. As a bar manager or head bartender, I'm typically the person taking in inventory, and I have to open up a whole bunch of boxes when deliveries come in. So I keep a box cutter for that reason. And when I am working shifts where I'm getting off late at night, I don't really do this when I'm working like day shifts, but when I'm working shifts that are very late at night and I just want to feel a little extra safe, I will take my box cutter and put it in my pocket or in the front sleeve of my purse instead of keeping it in my little bar bag tucked away, because what good is it if it's like buried deep down in my bag? I'll just stick it in my pocket. And this is allowed in New York, I believe. No one has told me that it's not. I've seen like construction workers and stuff walking around with it like on tool belts and things. So I think it's allowed. I should probably research that. But anyway, I assume that it's allowed, and I keep it on me just somewhere accessible, just to have it ready. That just makes me feel a little bit more secure. But again, not necessary. Totally not condoning any type of violence with weapons, and it's totally up to you. What is this comment? Sabrosa, my first night bartending, I was the only one left and was surrounded by 5 men that were all blocking my car and each pulling me to get in their car. One of them was the owner and another was the DJ. Don't stay alone. Holy shit. That is one of the worst things I've ever heard. Can you please give us more information? Well, okay, maybe I don't want you to necessarily divulge anything private that you're not comfortable sharing. I am just hoping and praying that you got out of that situation. Obviously that you are alive. You are here to tell us about it. I'm hoping that you were able to get away from those people before anything other than that attempt happened. That is really, really fucking scary. And that is great advice about staying in the bar alone. Yeah, that is one of those situations. It's like, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't have all the answers. These are tips and recommendations to help keep you aware, help keep you alert, help you to avoid situations. But I honestly don't know what to do if the owner and the staff members that you are working with that are supposed to be on your side and have your best interests at heart are the very people that pose the greatest risk to you. You know, that's something that I don't even know how you could avoid a situation like that, because I would never be expecting something like that to happen. Because you said, you know, don't be alone. But like, if I'm the bartender and I'm in the bar with the owner and the DJ, in my mind, I'm not alone. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm here with staff. I'm not alone. So it would not occur to me that I was in a position of danger, that those people around me could all be in cahoots to hurt me. That's really, really scary. And I'm very, very sorry that that happened to you. I hope that they were unsuccessful in whatever they were trying to do, and that you were able to get justice against all of them, because that really fucking sucks. Yeah, that sucks. There really isn't anything else to say about that. I'm really sorry that that happened to you. I'm really grateful. It was definitely terrifying being the only woman in the bar at 3 a.m. They were aggressive, grabbing me, and cried and called my mom, and I got in the car. Okay, so you got away. Whew. Thank God. Thank you for that information. That's horrible. I'm so sorry. That is horrible. I hope that those people fucking... I don't believe in hell, but I do believe that there is a special place right here on this earth for people who do things like that, and I hope that they all find themselves there. That is absolutely disgusting, and I'm sorry. I'm really glad that you were able to get away, and more than that, I really wish that I could take that story and turn around with words of advice for you guys. But like I said, I honestly don't even know what to say about something like that, because to me, you are not alone. Like, I would not think to myself, I am in danger in this bar with the owner, my employer, and another staff member. You know, as a DJ is another staff member. I don't really know. Like, you shouldn't have to have, like, you know, a personal security guard with you just to close up your shift. You know, being alone in the bar, like physically being the only individual in the bar, especially as a woman, yes, I would say that is a red flag scenario. I don't really like that. I worked at a dive bar called Manitoba's back in the day when it existed. It just closed down. But I used to work at Manitoba's here in New York City, and that bar was like that. It was a dive, and you closed up by yourself. But there was a security guy at the end of the night. So it was still a little nerve-wracking to be the only person in the bar closing up, but there was one other person. I'm trying to think. I feel like during the week, though, the security wasn't there. I'm trying to remember. I think I worked the weekend, so there was like a bar back and a security guard. But I think that during the week, there might not have been a security guard, and so it was just you by yourself. And of course, this happens quite often in smaller areas. Not so much in big cities. You don't really see that happening, but in small areas, you do see that a lot, where you're by yourself. And man or woman, that's a dangerous situation. And so that brings me back to the safety plan that I talked about, knowing where your emergency exits are, knowing where all the cameras are. Our security was the owner. Wow, that just fucking sucks. That just sucks. I can't think of a single way in which you could avoid that situation. There's no way for you to know that your employer and the staff that you're working with are scumbag human beings. And I can't really think of anything that you can do, you know, aside for fight for your life like you did and hopefully get away. I'm really happy that you called your mom. Personally, I would have also called the police. That's personal. I can't really tell anybody what to do in a situation like that. I have not had that happen to me. I don't know how I would respond, but I'm definitely the snitch type. I'm definitely the snitch type. Sorry. I went to law school. You know, I handle my problems with lawyers and law enforcement. Like, you know, I have no problems. As much as I don't love the police, and don't come for me in the comments, I'm not interested. I'm a black person in America. If I have to explain to you why I just said that, then you haven't watched the news in a long time and you need to pay attention. They are not my favorite type, but at the end of the day, they do serve a purpose. And I would definitely be calling the police on them. I would be taking action. I would be filing suits. I would be speaking to an attorney. I would be making sure that there were some consequences and some repercussions for what they tried to do to me, if for no other reason than to make sure that they don't do it to somebody else, because my guess is you are not the first person that they have attempted to assault, and if there are no consequences, then you won't be the last. Not saying it's your responsibility to do anything and make sure that they don't do that to someone else. It's not snitching. Absolutely. You know, when it comes to stuff like that, try not to be too consumed with yourself, right? I think what happens in those situations is you fear retribution, you fear retaliation, you might fear what people in the neighborhood will say about you, what so-and-so's friends will think about you if you call the police or whatnot. But at the end of the day, you are helping the next person. There is no part of me at all that thinks for a second that those guys are not going to try that with the next person. There's just no way. There's no way they're going to go, oh, that didn't work. All right, well, maybe we're going to, you know, give up our lives of being scumbag human beings and respect our staff and our female co-workers. No, they're scumbags, and they're going to continue to be scumbags until someone stops them and prevents them from doing so. So, you know, I wish I could give you guys more advice in a situation like that, other than call the police, call a lawyer, look into making sure that they are held accountable for what they did. But I don't. That's kind of all I have for a situation like that. Because like I said, I wouldn't consider that being left alone. Being literally the only person in the bar, having to lock up the doors at the end of the night, that is something that I would bring up to management. Like, hey, you know, like, maybe we should think about security, or maybe we should keep 2 bartenders on to close up, or maybe we should have, you know, a porter come in. Like, the porter is usually the person who comes in and cleans the bar overnight. They usually have a key, and they often come in after closing. But what a lot of bars will do, and it's the safer thing to do, is to have the porter overlap with the bartender. So rather than having the porter show up at 4:30, have the porter show up at 3:30 before the bar closes at 4. So there is an overlap, and that way there isn't just one person in the bar. I didn't call the cops. I felt like it was my fault for wearing a short dress. Oh, honey. Oh, damn. No, girl. Mm-mm. No, no, no. I mean, like you said, you know better now. You know, so this isn't necessarily for you, but for anybody else who is watching, no outfit, no drinking, no promiscuity, no sexual flirting, no behavior on your part makes assault your fault. None of it. None of it. And too often, that is the message that we, specifically women, are given. You were drunk. You were wearing this outfit. You were flirting. You made out with that person. You went home with that person. You left the bar with them. And people will make it seem like your behavior is the cause of the assault that you endured. No. The cause of the assault that you endured is the scumbag nature of the person who assaulted you, and nothing else. no behavior on your part warrants being assaulted at all. Um, that really sucks that you felt that way. I'm sorry. I'm glad that you know, realize now that that was not your fault in any way. You were completely set up. You could have been fucking Mother Teresa, and those assholes would have tried something because clearly that's just what they're about. Um, no outfit would have changed that at all. You were an opportunity for them that they tried to take advantage of. And I'm sorry for that. And I'm glad that you now recognize that that was not your fault. And to anybody who experiences something like that, you know, please know that's not your fault. And not only is it not your fault, it's also not the fault of this industry. I don't want you to be scared off and think like, oh, well, because I'm bartending, you know, these things are going to happen. No. That's often a misconception. I'll get in the comments sometimes like, oh, I know as a bartender, I'm expected to flirt or I'm expected to do this. No, you're not. No, you are not. 100% no, you are not. As a manager, no, you are not. You know, so please don't think that any of this type of inappropriate or criminal behavior is your fault or that you just have to tolerate it because it comes with bartending. That is not true whatsoever. Okay, there are scumbags everywhere, and unfortunately, sometimes you cannot avoid them. Yeah, that's like really sobering. News. I'm just so grateful that you got away okay. So grateful for that. The last thing that I did want to mention about after shift safety is having a home buddy. And this is something that, you know, I don't think would necessarily prevent what happened to Sabrosa, but is just something that can help make sure that if you are in a situation where you are alone, where you're either closing the bar alone, you're commuting home alone, maybe you live alone or you have roommates that you don't ever really see, it's just always a good idea to have someone in the world who gives a damn about you, knowing where you are at any given time. So I'm married, and I have been married. Well, I have been with my husband for almost all of my bartending career. I started bartending at 18. I met him at 19. So for much of my career, he has been my home buddy. What I mean by home buddy is there should be somebody who you alert when you leave the bar, and somebody who you alert when you get on the train, and somebody when you alert when you stop off at the next bar for a drink. Like just somebody who you keep tabs with in that time after your shift up until the point where you are safely at home. So a great home buddy is one of your fellow bartenders. So if you guys are working the shift together, or even if you weren't working the shift together, establish a relationship with one of the other bartenders and say, hey, let's be like home buddies. You know, I'm going to text you when I leave, and I'm going to text you when I get home. And whenever you leave the shift, you text me when you leave and text me when you get home. You could do this with a roommate who is maybe not always there, but that you have a relationship with. When my husband has been out of town, that person has been my sister. My sister lives all the way in South Carolina, but it's a good idea for her to just know. So I will text her, you know, on my way home. We also did that. What's that iPhone thing where you can like link up your iPhone so that they like clock each other, they like GPS each other. We did that. She's my only person on there, actually, that I did that with. But you can set that up with somebody so that if nobody's heard from you in a while, they are pinned to your phone and can see the last place that you were. This might not necessarily prevent something from happening to you, but it could bring someone's attention to the fact that something is not right or something has happened sooner rather than later. So text somebody when you leave the bar. Text that same person when you safely arrive home. And if you stop off anywhere in between, let that person know that you are stopping off in between, etc. Just so that somebody is aware of what's going on with you. It's important that if you do that, you keep that consistent. Okay? Keep it consistent. Always do it, because if you're not consistent, then the other person won't know if you didn't text them because you just forgot, or you didn't text them because you truly did not get home that night. So keep it consistent. Pick somebody who you can really do that with. Talk to them about it so that they're aware, so they know why they're getting text messages at 4 in the morning, and they're not mad about it. And yeah, do that. It could be a parent, it could be a sibling, roommate, spouse, really good friend, or coworker. But find somebody in this world that you can have that relationship with for your nighttime commutes. You don't necessarily, it's up to you if you want to do it when you leave at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Less likely, not impossible, less likely that something dangerous could happen to you. But certainly if you are the closing bartender, if you're working till 4 or 5 in the morning, you want to have somebody in this world know when you left the bar and that you got home safe. Okay? So are there any questions or any comments? Does anybody else want to share any stories that they have been through? Thank you so much, Sabrosa, for sharing that story. That is freaking horrifying and awful. And like I said, I'm just so glad that you got out of there safely. I do not judge you in any way for how you chose to handle that situation. And I'm just really happy that you've come to a place where you understand that that was not your fault. If there's anybody else out there that wants to share any tips, if you have just joined the live, or if you missed the live and you're watching this after the live is over, you can always leave comments and questions down below. I always respond to them. So if you have any questions about safety, you can leave them down below. Or if you want to share your experiences to help educate other people, help give other people recommendations for things that they should be on the lookout for, please, please, please do so down in the comments. You are helping your fellow bartender, male or female, make it home safe at the end of the night with all of their hard-earned money. So it's definitely worth it, and I totally appreciate you sharing that information. So if you have comments or questions that you want me to answer right now, now would be the time to get those in. I will just remind you guys to make sure to please like this video. Make sure to subscribe and click on the bell button so you're notified every time I go live, because if you weren't here for the opening announcements, the tip of the week is not going to be weekly anymore. Okay? When will it be? Yo no sé. It's still the tip of the week. It's just not the weekly tip of the week. So make sure that you click on the bell button so you're notified when I go live. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram at RockStar_BarGirl so that you can get the heads up. It will still be on Fridays at 4 o'clock. No matter what, it's just not going to be every Friday at 4 o'clock. That way, you guys can, more of you can participate in the lives. They can happen a little less frequently, and you can be prepared to join it. You'll get a heads up earlier than I have been posting, so that you can be prepared for it. Because I see people saying that they want to participate in the live, but they missed it because YouTube didn't notify them, or they tuned in too late, or what have you. So we're going to do these a little less frequently, and I'm going to post on my Instagram earlier in the week that it's happening, so that you have time to like make your preparations to be here. And so definitely follow me on Instagram so that you know that, and turn on your post notifications so you are aware. Do the clicking and the liking and the notifications and all of that stuff. Happy Valentine's Day. I am doing a flash sale for my course, The Fundamentals Every Bartender Must Know, which includes a free Rockstar Bar Kit. That's my 16-piece bartending kit that allows you to practice along with the course at home. Remember, my course is a convenient, cost-effective, and comprehensive bartending course that gives you everything you need to know to go out there and feel confident and get a bartending job. This is a great option for people who don't have the time or the money to go to bartending school. So definitely check it out. The flash sale expires at midnight tonight, and then it goes back to its regular price. So take advantage of this 50% off by enrolling in the course tonight. You don't have to start the course tonight, just enroll tonight so that you can take advantage of the flash sale price. All right, guys. So thank you so much for participating in this live. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your likes and your comments. And stay tuned for the next tip of the week. I got a comment in regard to sexual harassment. I made 2 videos that you want to check out on that topic. There's one called Sexual Harassment in the Bar Biz, and I talk about sexual harassment from your staff members, as we kind of touched on today. What to do if you're being sexually harassed by your coworkers, legal action that you can take, etc. And then I have a video called Making Connections and Increasing Tips, and I talk about how to deal with sexual advances from your customers while keeping in mind that you still want to make tips, because it's a funky, blurry line there. Like, how do I stand my ground and make sure that nobody is being inappropriate to me, while at the same time not pissing everybody off and screwing myself out of good tip money? Like, you know, it's a balance. So I talk about that in that video, but I might do a tip of the week live about that. Because like I said, I think there's a misconception that you have to flirt or be open to whatever sexual advances are coming from customers or from coworkers just because you're a bartender. That's definitely not true. So if you're interested in that topic and you would like that to be the topic for my next tip of the week, drop me a comment down below, and I'll definitely consider that as a topic. All right. Otherwise, like I said, just click on the bell button and follow me on Instagram so you know the next time we go live together and we can do this all over again. So thank you guys again. Happy Valentine's Day. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, rock stars.